Okay, so we're ready to go. My name is Renata Iociene and I'm application engineer in AGACAD. Today we have a web session about how to frame multi-story houses faster, and actually we can say that right now you can frame even 10 times faster than it was before. So first of all, I would like to say a little bit about AGACAD. We create solutions for continuous beam acceleration based on the experience of the most advanced users. And AGACAD is operating since 1988. And right now we have sold more than 8.5 commercial licenses in 129 countries. We help make it easier to bring BIM to life by eliminating tasks that do not create value. And today I'm going to show how to design walls and floors in the multi-story houses. So you will see how to design walls and floors, including main and secondary framings, then how to make sheeting layouts easily, then how to make shop drawings and material schedules for identical metal wall and floor frames in the multi-story building. Today I'm going to show an examples on the metal framing house, but actually it's totally the same for the wood framing. I mean, I just will show the principes and the workflow on the metal framing, but the same scenario we have created for the wood framing as well. So for them who use wood framings, so you can just imagine that it's the same features and the same functionality with wood. Now in our metal framing suite we have metal framing wall plus, which goes for working with and for framing walls, which comes from Architect. With this tool you can predefine your own configurations and you can frame the walls easily. At the same time you can make shop drawings. And then metal framing floor plus, it goes for making and generating floor framings automatically, including joints, buttons, bridgings, blockings, noggings, and at the same time again it can make shop drawings. Both of the softwares has an export to CNC machines. Actually, we do support several CNC machines, and also we have experience with some custom and special CNC machines if needed. Okay, now I'm coming to my Revit, and so this is an example of the project which was fully framed, and it take maybe about 40 minutes to frame this house. Today I will try to show, maybe we will not make maybe the full of house, maybe in this period, but we will try to frame about half of this model. Okay, so I'm starting from the early beginning, and now in the multi-story houses usually there are a lot of identical elements in the model, and you know that, for example, if I create and if I frame one wall, so we thought that it would be handy to have functionality which will find identical elements or identical walls or identical floors in this model and just frame them faster than usually. So here we have created, under the metal framing tab, we have created new features, and we added new features into the new wall plus and floor plus releases. We have released new versions yesterday with multi-framing features, which allows you to work with big houses and save your time in the framing process. Let's start, for example, the first example could be with this floor panel, with this floor segment. Let's try to frame this floor. Okay, so we have the frame. Maybe just in the beginning also I will explain how it works, how this framing process goes, and what kind of settings we have in the framing process. Actually, when we get a model from architects, we can make a link between architectural floor. Okay, so like as we see, this is just regular floor with the layers, and here we are making a link between the floor type and configuration settings. So here I'm saying that into this layer I'm going to put the main frame, and then I'm going to use this configuration, which includes all settings with the distances between the joists, or the details, or the profiles of the frames and so on. So this is my configuration which I'm going to use at the moment. Actually, this is default configuration which comes together with the software, and then I'm going to add 2 sheeting layers from the both sides, and again we're going later to split the sheeting into the segments. So we're going to add the gypsum, or just the sheeting layer. And now let's take a look into the framing configuration. Maybe I will not go into deep into these settings, but I just mainly will try to explain the main settings, which are in the, for example, floor framing. In the floor framing, you can separately predefine the main frame and the button frame. Then these are configurations, so which you can make actually your own configuration, which will save all the settings. You can put it somewhere into the network. You can share this configuration with your colleagues if needed. And actually this configuration contains all information about framing process. So we're just selecting the families which will be used for the joists. We're also selecting the families which will be used for the rims. We can also modify descriptions about every element from this frame. Then we can just very easily predefine the distances between the joists. Then how many different or how many rims we are going to have in the beginning and in the end. Maybe we can also add some offsets from the original floor. Then there are settings where you can predefine the opening framing. So it's like trimming joists or the headers. There are different also types of the headers in the opening. Then the trimmers also, another joints if needed, and also some offsets around the openings. And even actually with the software you can predefine different settings for different opening sizes. So let's say if it's small opening, then you can predefine one configuration, and for the big opening you can predefine totally different configuration, which will include stronger headers, for example. Then the ends, then the bridgings, blockings, and noggings. So I'm saying that this blocking will be automatically added from the base with such distance, and also from the end also with such distance. So it's very easy to predefine rules where you would like to put bridgings, blockings, and noggings automatically. Then also we have the secondary joist systems, the bracings, additional joists or additional bridgings if needed, and then the details. Like you saw in our frame, there are some details automatically added. Well, it depends on you. You can put the details or not, but in general, here you can just create your own family, and there is just the rule how it should be distributed. So, for example, the service hole will be automatically added in the center between 2 joists. And the same with the details. For example, this support clip will be automatically added on the open face of the joist side. Okay, so these settings you can save. Actually, it's very easy to predefine these settings, and you can save it and you can share it with your colleagues. And now, after framing the first frame, let's go and take a look into multi-framing features. under the multi-framing, we have the features which will go for working with big models. So because before, or just with a regular installation with a regular version, which was before, you would need to frame every element or every panel individually. And here there is no need to do that, because we have created technology which will find identical elements. So for example, let's find identical floors in this model, and now we can just copy or update the frames in the identical floors. So now the tool finds identical floors in this project and just makes a really smart copy. So it's just like the same, like it is originally framed. And that's it. As you can see, in just few seconds, we have framed 9 floor segments. Now, let's say that we're going to make some modification in our panel, in any of our panels actually. I'm going to modify floor framing. Let's say I'm going just to change my bridging. I'm not saying that it should be only for the first and for the last base. Yeah, so let's say that we did some modifications, and actually it doesn't matter what kind of modifications we do. Again, we can load the functionality, select any frame from the panel, from the floor, and again the tool will find identical floors and will update the floors according to my last changes. Yes, the same story we have for the walls, and let's try to frame this wall again in the link, in the wall link. Again, into this internal wall we're going to put the main frame with such configuration, and then again 2 sheathings from the both sides. And now let's frame this wall. Okay, now let's go to the multi-framing features. Let's copy or update the frames in the identical walls. Yes, and for example, let's add additional elements. So we can do some changes, I mean any changes in this case, but also here I'd like to show an example with adding additional elements into the frame, into the wall. And again, for example, let's add the bracing maybe group between the studs. Okay, and after adding additional elements, again let's go to the copy update frames. I'm selecting any frame. The tool scans all my model and finds identical walls and just frames it. Now, so this is the work with individual elements which are created in the model. Now let's just take a look into one more example with working with groups. In many cases, architects, they create groups, which includes, for example, this is our typical room in this hotel. There could be also departments and student houses, for example. So usually architects, they create typical groups and then use them in the model. So again, this technology can be used also in the groups, and for making and for working with groups also we have created additional features. For example, one is like I'm going to select all walls from the group. Yes, and now let's frame them. So let's frame our first group. So we are not affecting the group. Actually, the group, it stays as it is, as it comes from architectural side. And now structural engineer is adding the frames on the walls from the group. And again, the frames could be totally different than the groups. For example, maybe in some cases there could be additional elements added into the frames, and the group, architectural group, can be totally the same. And now that's why we have created possibilities. What kind of influences you would like to do with the features. For example, you can influence all group types from this model, so the tool will take a look into the same group type and will frame it. You can work only in the one group, so it means that the tool will try to find identical walls only in your selected group, because sometimes the groups can be huge and include identical walls in the group. And also we can say that maybe some frames will be totally unique, and some walls will be totally unique, and it will be not working or updating according to the group system. But now we're going to update and frame the walls according to all groups from this project. And here we have used copy update frames in model groups. So now the tool finds the same group types in this project. Then it takes a look into and finds identical walls, and the tool frames them according to our predefined rules. Yeah, so the tool finds that there are 52 groups in this project, and every group contains 6 walls. So as you can see, it goes right now through every group and frames every wall in this group. You can just imagine how much time it would take if you would try to frame it manually and again, or not just frame manually, but maybe I'm not talking about the manual work of every stud and every plate, but if we will try to frame it usually using the Wool Plus, still it would take some time, because every stud or every plate, every element was added according to predefined rules. And this new technology allows you to make this process faster. So we did a test and we saw that using this new technology we save time about 10 times. Okay, if you have any questions, you are welcome to write these questions into GoToWebinar dialog, and in the end of the session I will try to answer them. Okay, so here we are finishing with framing the walls from our groups. Yes, and almost done. Yeah, so we have framed 145 walls from this model in about a few minutes. And now, after framing these walls, we are going to do the same process with the floor. Yeah, so we can see that the frames are here and they are exactly in the layer where it should be. I just want to show one more example with the external wall, because this is a little bit different. It includes and it has more layers. This layer we're going to use for the secondary framing. Yeah, so maybe let's do an example with the secondary framing. Right now I'm going to add the secondary frame into this wall. Yes, so this is secondary framing, which is added into the layer where it should be. And now we can again go to the multi-framing features, go to copy update frames in identical walls. Yes, and now again the tool finds identical walls in this project and frames and adds the secondary frame. And as you can see, the process, it is about 1 second per wall. Okay, now after adding these frames, let's go to the floor framing. Again, with the floors we have the same story with working with the groups. Let's select the floor from the group. Let's frame this floor. Okay, yeah, so we have framed this floor, and now again the same process. Let's copy or update the frames in the model groups. Yes, again there are 52 groups, but there is only one floor panel in this group, so there will be 52 floors. And now again the tool, it's just like the same process like we did in the early beginning. The tool takes a look into the frame configuration settings. It finds what other distances should be between the joists, what details should be added. Actually, if we will skip creating details, again this process would be even faster. But in this case, the floors goes together with the details, with the clip angles, with the service holes, and yeah. So if we will not use details, then again this process will be much more faster, because in general you can frame in the beginning. You can frame and you can make the main frame, and actually the details could be added later with the update process. Yes, so there are 52 frames created, floor frames created. Yes, and we have such really nice looking results. Okay, now let's continue with making sheeting layouts. For the sheeting layouts, let's go to the parts visibility and let's go to the show both. In this case, the tool will show original elements together with the sheeting. You know that, yeah, so for the sheeting we use parts, and actually this parts needs to be split because we can't make such big gypsum or the sheeting layout. So it needs to be split, and for this we have sheeting configuration where you can predefine the distances between the sheeting panels, then maybe add some offsets from the wall base or top, then add some offsets from the L connections. Also we can analyze and work with the free end connections or with the T connections. And again, this configuration can be saved for the future projects and for sharing with the colleagues. So here we're going to split sheeting parts, and as you can see, it's very easy to make the sheeting layouts, and we have the split. Let's do the same, for example, with yes, for example, with this wall. Okay, and now again, if we want to split identical walls in the project, again we can go to the multi-framing. Let's go to the show identical walls. I'm going to select all identical walls from this project. Yes, right now the tool compares all walls from this model. And now again, let's go to the split sheeting parts. And now the tool automatically will split the sheeting for all my selected identical walls. Actually, you can grab everything and you can filter all walls which are framed, or all internal walls, and you can do the same. But this is the case if you would like to make a smart filter and filter and select only identical walls and make the sheeting according to some predefined settings. Yeah, so we're finishing with splitting the sheeting segments for 25 walls. Yes, and now actually after making the sheeting segments, yeah, let's do, for example, again it for external wall. Actually, there are 2 sheeting segments from one side and 1 sheeting segment from the external side. The same let's do, for example, again for the floor segments. Yeah, so we have again the sheeting on the floor segment. And after creating the sheetings, actually we're ready to go with shop drawings. Here let's go to the shop drawing configuration. And here you can find the settings for making and for working with the shop drawings. Actually, here the tool will create assembly, so the tool will collect all elements from the wall, and the tool will add dimensions and generate the views which are needed. So here we're saying that the 3D view should be created using this view template, which contains all your graphical settings and design settings. And then we need to add and create the plan view with such view template, then the front side view, then the front side view with the sheeting, then the part lists and separate schedule only for the frame and only for the sheeting, and then material takeoff again. And then we have just to take a look and just select the title block from this project, the tag family which will be automatically added on every frame. Then we have to pick dimension styles which we want to add on every frame, and that's it actually. Again, all these settings will be saved. You will not need to make the settings for every project. And again, we can actually make assembly or make shop drawings for our selected wall, but here again we can use multi-framing features, and there is a feature create assemblies for identical walls. And now I'm just selecting this wall, and the tool will find identical walls again from this model and will generate assemblies for every wall. And actually, if there will be identical assemblies, the tool will create one shop drawing. So one shop drawing will be created for 25 walls in this case. Because this is actually the main task, that you don't need to have different, same shop drawings in the model. So in this case, the tool will find identical walls and will make one shop drawing. So now the tool makes shop drawings, and actually the tool generates the views which are needed. So it was, in my case, it was 3D view, front side view with the sheeting. Then also the tool adds dimensions on every stud and every plate in the view. Also the tool right now generates schedules, and actually the template of the schedule is very easy to create. You just need to create the regular schedule like you do right now in your project, and you will be able to use the schedule as a template for making schedules in the assembly. So it will be very easy to predefine. You can just choose wherever what kind of columns you would like to see. So it can be, for example, the family name or the type, the count, the mass, or the length of the frame. You can add any filters or any other settings, actually, like you do right now with regular schedules. And then we will use, or a Wall Plus will use these schedules as a template for making shop drawings for every wall. And later on, we're going to add all these views into the sheet. So actually, for the first sheet, we will need to create it manually. So I will drag the views into the sheet. But later on, we will not need to do this because Wall Plus will create the views for the next wall and will put these views into the sheet automatically. Okay, I think we're finishing with making assemblies for 25 walls from this project. And one more thing is that Wall Plus automatically will generate and will calculate the mass for you, or the volume. I mean, not the volume, but the weight. But for this, for calculation, the weight calculation, you will need to add material into the frame, which will have density parameter. Okay, and we're ready to check the results. So this is our 3D view. Yes, this is our front side view. But again, here we have really nice looking views, but still the elements, they are not numbered because you see that the marks are empty. So that's why we have to go to the source circle framing by mark, and now the tool will renumber all our framing elements according to its type and the length. And this information we will see in the parameters of every stud or every plate or any element, and we will be able to put this information into the views or into the schedules, because it will be like regular Revit parameter, just the values will be automatically filled up. And now we do this for the walls, but the same you will need to do this for the floors, because right now the tool renumbers all our frames from the project. And that's it, we have this information. So actually, if I will try to select the stud, I will be able to see this information in the properties. So it's a vertical stud number 1, and this is a really stud, and here I can see the mass of this element. I can see where exactly what is the host information, what is the number of the wall from the project. And again, let's take a look into other views. So this is the view with the sheeting layouts. Then we have material takeoff and the part list, yes, and the schedule only for the main frame, and then separate schedule only for the sheeting. And now we can put everything into the final sheet. So here I'm going to put these views. Then, for example, here I'm going to add the schedule with the main frame. Then the schedule with the sheeting will go here. Let's say the part list will go here. And for example, here we are going to put the 3D view. And now I'm going to the shop drawing configuration, and I'm going to say that this sheet will be used as a template for the next assemblies. Okay, and now I'm coming back into my regular 3D view. And now let's create assembly for such wall. So again, I'm going to press on create this frame assembly, I'm not trying to right now to find identical walls, because I just want to save your time. So let's do this for one separate wall, but I would just, with this example, I would like to show that the views will be automatically added into the sheet, and you will not need to drag and drop them manually again. Yes, and we can just go into the final sheet and we can just see the results. Yeah, so here we have the front side view, then again the front side view with the sheeting, we have the schedules, and we have separate 3D view and so on. Okay, and one more example. Again, we can do the same story. We have the same story for the floors. So let's create frame assembly for the floor segment. Yes, and again, here we're going to have shop drawings, but only for selected floor. Yes, that's it, and we can just find the floor and again check the views. So this is our 3D view, then the top side view. Again, the floors needs to be renumbered. So let's go to the source of the framing by mark. At the moment I'm renumbering all framing elements from the floors from this project, but the same you can do for the connections. In this floor we have connections, we have details between the joists. So also, if we need it, we can renumber even connections. Yes, again, one more view with the sheeting, and again the schedules, the same information as it was with the walls. Okay, I'm coming back again into my slides. So as I mentioned before, actually all these samples which I was showing today, it was for the wall plus and for the floor plus, which comes from the metal framing suite, but actually totally the same we have for the wood framing. So if you use wooden studs and wooden plates, wooden framings, you can use wall plus and floor plus, which comes from the wood framing suite. At the same time, in this chart you can see all our solutions which we have created for Revit, and here you can find very handy tools like tools for Revit add-ons, which can help you in the documentation and in the modeling. Then we have cut opening, which is very powerful for making openings around ducts, pipes, and cable traces and conduits. And actually later on, these openings will be framed using wall plus or floor plus. Then we have MEP engineering solutions, very good for ventilation and for cooling and for energy calculations. Then we have Beamtree Manager, which goes for working with parameters and parameter values which are created in the project. And then Smart Details for placing the details automatically. Actually, if we talk about the framing processes, about wall or floor framing, so the details are automatically included. I mean, there is no need to use a separate software, but in this case you can use Smart Details if you would like to work with the concrete projects or with the steel, hard steel, you know. So Smart Details is very good for adding connections between different columns and beams and so on. Then Smart Browser, it's a very good tool for and solutions for working with the libraries, with working with families from the library, with managing them and so on. And then Smart Assemblies, basically it's the same like I was showing you today with the walls and with the floors, like we have created shop drawings. Again, it makes also shop drawings, but you can use it not just for the framing elements, but you can use it for the same for the concrete elements, for the columns, for the hard steel beams, for example. So it goes actually for individual elements, and it makes individual shop drawings. And at the moment we have a special offer for the metal framing and for the wood framing, where you can get a training and a testing before buying. So it means that with this offer you get 1 hour of individual training, then practical assistance using Wall Plus and Floor Plus in your specific projects. And we will be consulting you by email or by the meetings. Again, it's 1 hour, and then the free license for 1 month for any solutions you want. So it's for the metal or for the wood framing. And all solutions you can download through Tools for BIM Doc. This is our manager for all our products. And for those who already own Wall Plus or Floor Plus, I want to remind that there is an update. So please update your existing installations, because yesterday we have released a new version which contains multi-framing. So please update it, and you will be able to use the latest version which I was showing you today. And for those who want to try the software, you're welcome to get a trial version. It's very easy. You can just fill the form and you can get activation code, and it will work for 2 weeks. And this is just the web page where you can download Tools for BIM Doc and download any software you want to try in your projects. Okay, so still thank you for your time, and in the case of any questions you can email me, and so you're welcome to download the trial version and try it in your projects. And if you need any help, just please let me know, and I will try to help you. Okay, so thank you again, and yeah, have a nice rest of your day. Bye bye.